Welcome to Off the Cuff with Kel, Conversations from the Front Line, a podcast and live show for survivors and the leaders who support them. I'm your host, Kelly Humphries, a survivor of child sexual abuse, advocate, author, speaker, ambassador, a lover of all things outdoors, with over 15 years of law enforcement experience. Please support me in my mission to break cycles of abuse and trauma. You can help by donating to my Patreon account at patreon.com/Kelly Humphries. Hey guys, and welcome to episode number 10 of Off the Cuff with Kel. Very excited tonight to have the lovely Jessica Jasmine, music official.
Hello, everybody.
She is just a gem. We met, when was Australia's largest launch?
May last year.
Gosh, look at you with the memory. But the event was to raise money for the prevention of child exploitation and to raise awareness. And Jess was there singing her lungs out with her amazing, bone-chilling, skin-tingling song.
Get your tissues.
I don't get I get emotional at events, but I don't usually get that emotional. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it was just the most powerful song. And she's finally been able to release it into the world.
Yay! Like a year later, it was such a big journey, but the timing was just so perfect. It's all like your podcast starting, my song coming out, like it was just all divine timing.
Yes, I love it. And it was just, and when I actually got to connect with Jess, it was just so cool. She's definitely a soul good person with a massive heart, and her song is Rolling Back the Curtains, and it is just freaking awesome. Yes. I posted it, so if you haven't seen it, it is on my timeline, and you can find it on her website. So just before we get going, guys, we do talk about child exploitation and child abuse. So there may be some things that are triggering as we go through and we have this conversation. There's support numbers on my website if something does upset you and you do need someone to talk to. So moving right along, Jess, tell us about you first and then tell us about your amazing song.
All right. Wow. Where to start? So one of those people, I've moved around a lot, which I think I'm 28 now. I've moved like 37 times. I went to like 10 different schools. I was always that new kid, which looking back on has been a blessing because it made me very comfortable in putting myself out there and networking, which makes it so much easier today when meeting new people. Grew up in Melbourne, did a lot of moving, eventually ended up here. Brisbane. I'm now down in a little town called Pottsville here in New South Wales, which I love. Now, I grew up in church myself, always singing on stage. My mum, from, as young as I was 3, would get me up on with the choir to sing, and then would take me back to Sunday school for the rest of the service until later. So I had a really good surrounding of obviously gospel style music. As I got older, grew into different leadership roles, did a lot of going out and just helping people out on the streets, all that type of stuff, ticking off the box, if that makes sense. But one thing I knew from a very young age is I was supposed to be bringing music to the world for people, So that's where I started to kind of go on my journey of staying true to what I knew in my heart I was called to do. I remember as young as 8 years old praying, I want to write songs. And back then I could not write a song, and it was a real journey, but also a bit of a struggle for me to even start writing music. So it wasn't until I was about 22 years old, I was doing my grocery shopping in Coles, and I just started humming a tune, and I whipped out the phone and started voice memoing my little tune that I had. And it was literally like a lid had been pulled off a bottle. And from that day on, I started writing music. And then I tried to go on the journey of, okay, I know I'm called to music. Where do I start? And I have to be really honest. My mindset back then was I can do this all by myself, Miss Independent, you know. And I went to LA. I went to San Diego. I did a residency over there. Had some great connections. Produced like, I think I wrote 12 or 13 songs in the space of a month. Even the producer there was like, I've never worked with someone that writes this fast. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but that was my experience. And one thing back then when I was in LA was, hey, change your look, sing a little bit like this, and all these opportunities. And, you know, the way Hollywood can be, getting to that point of basically selling your soul. And I'd always believed that when I did music, or if I was going to do anything in this world, it was going to be for good. And when it started to become a little bit more, you know, be sexualized and be this, I was like, I don't want to do it this way. I don't want to be like every other artist or be a fad. So I literally haven't released pretty much any of those songs. I decided to come home and do things the very long way, but the right way. And something for me, I don't believe you can play that game and then when you make it, decide now I'm going to do good. To me, that's hypocrisy. You know, if you're going to do something with integrity, you've got to do it with integrity from the very beginning. Not saying I've fully made it, but the journey of rolling back the curtains has been super, super humbling. So yeah, I came back. At one point, I would wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning. I would drive from the Gold Coast to Brisbane. I would work with my dad concreting, landscaping, covered in concrete and dirt and as rough as it could be. And then I would go back to my dad's, shower up and get ready to go sing for gigs. And I would sing in the nighttime. Sometimes people are like, what's in your hair? Oh, it's just concrete, you know. So it has been a long journey of doing the hard yards. I run a business as well. I still work. So the grind is real. The hustle is real, but we need to take pride in the process, if that makes sense. And I just keep telling myself, you know, if we keep doing it the right way, the passion will pave a way. And then the journey of rolling back the curtains has come about, which we'll get into some more in a moment. Did you have any main questions leading up to that? So that's pretty much me. Been singing my whole life.
No, I just love it. I love that you've got this integrity and you've got this amazing journey and that you're honoring yourself in the process. And I think for many of us, particularly the listeners for Off the Cuff, they know what it's like to lose their soul. And, you know, I think it's really beautiful that you've been able to maintain your integrity and honor yourself, because, you know, it's so easy to fall prey to, you know, these big lucrative things that look real pretty and look really nice, and we can easily lose ourselves in that. So I just think it's so great that you've honored yourself and that you're doing some really powerful soul work. And, you know, from what I understand, Jess, is your main thing is about songs and music that moves and transforms lives and changes social presets. And you know, that's what I think rolling back the curtains has been like. Wow, it really is like rolling back this, like ripping the curtains apart, you know, and just going, oh wow, that's really, really powerful. So if you haven't seen the music video, you really need to watch it, guys. It is just so powerful. So tell us, Jess, why the passion for this particular subject? Why are you wanting to do something that you know, is showing this real, you know, I mean, child exploitation is massive. It's
huge.
I think 120 million. Hang on, where's my stats gone? There's a massive industry, and millions of children are trafficked like every year. Like it's huge.
It is. It's massive.
So where does your heart come from for this?
Yeah. So obviously, with my upbringing, I've always had a big heart for people. That mindset of just being an example of love. And this whole journey, yes, I've stayed as integral as I can. It hasn't been easy, but it's definitely worth it. So growing up with that background and those beliefs on, giving love, I've always had a big heart for kids. I'm not a mother myself. I have a beautiful niece who I love dearly as well. Having a lot of friends with kids, and growing up in the church, you're aware of overseas the exploitation that happens. It is in your face, and we see it all the time on ads and things like that. And over the last, probably honestly since coming back from LA, it started to click a little bit more that, wow, it goes deeper than this. And then after COVID hit and having more time to go a bit deeper, there's definitely, like we said, it goes far, it goes wide, it goes deep. So there's so many levels to this that it's already dark, but it gets pretty darn dark. And I went on this journey of really going down that rabbit hole and getting to understand how this can happen, where it can happen, and even here in Australia, going back through some reports of different trafficking rings that have been exposed here in Australia. And even through COVID, meeting people, I obviously can't say their names, but meeting victims themselves of whose own parent was in a pedophile ring, So I've had these conversations firsthand with people that are victims, and it does go really deep. So I was carrying that on my heart, and as a musician, that's my outlet. And basically, painting a picture, I was at home by myself, sitting at my piano, and I sat down at the piano, and I remember feeling something very heavy on my heart, and I kind of just played the first note on the piano, the first chord, and the lyrics, "Hey little girl, don't say a word even if he hurts you. Hey little girl, don't say a word. The world won't listen to you." They were the first lines that just came out, and it broke me. I sat there for a good 5 minutes just bawling because I felt the weight of what was going to come. And I said a prayer. I was like, wow, that was me there. God, if you want to bring a song through me, like, I'm your vessel. I believe in the power of that. And I actually wrote the song in about 15 minutes. I have a recording of my whole songwriting process archived away, which I'm sure we'll bring out at some point. And it's just me kind of playing and then crying and then playing and crying. And by the time I'd finished writing this song, I quickly sent a recording of the whole song to a producer, Miklos Power, who basically heard the song and straight away was like, wow, this is something we need to work on. Both being full-time workers, COVID, trying to keep a head over a roof over our heads, over our roofs, roof over our heads. We were doing the recording and production in the very, very small amounts of our spare time. It took over a year, almost a year and a half, to actually record this song. And surprisingly, this is all done in MIDI for all the producers out there that know what that means. We did not record one live instrument. So every part of this production, every element, every sound, Miklos and I sat there and basically went through sounds to see what felt right, or, oh, this is what I can hear for a guitar. And we really went back and forth and paid attention to every part, and each part of the song, each layer had a purpose. We were really aware of, the feeling of it. And we ended up finishing this beautiful song. And within weeks, that's when the floods happened, actually, last year, Northern Rivers. And my beautiful, amazing mum, who pretty much dedicates her whole life to everyone around her, was down there volunteering, cleaning out houses, and she met a woman named Hayley. Now, Hayley, probably watching, we love you, runs a company called Be Inc. They do a lot of advertisement, marketing, they call themselves professional attention seekers, is the thing. And they were running the event last year, which you were a part of, and myself ALL, Australia's largest lunch. And my mum got into conversation with Hayley, and Hayley was talking about the ALL lunch, and my mum was like, oh, my daughter's a singer. She wrote a song about this subject. And Hayley was like, yeah, I heard that being before. Every mum's always like, oh, my daughter's a singer, you know.
It's
true. So my mum was like, no, please just like have a listen. Thanks,
yeah,
Mum.
but she's good. She's really good.
She's really good. So I ended up sending a link to the demo version of Rolling Back the Curtains to Hayley. And she pretty much called me straight away going, oh, my God.
I think you're going to put an accent there. Oh, my God.
I know. Oh, actually, she swore, which makes it funnier. But basically, it was like, oh, my God, we need you at our event. This is amazing. That's about it.
Love you, Hayley.
Yeah. And basically, that was the connection. Straight away, I felt the energy there. And I was like, I'm going to ask Hayley about a music video, because when I wrote the song, I actually fully envisioned a music video. I saw the whole what Rolling Back the Curtains could be. You know, it was the first time I really wrote something about that. I was like, wow, this is a song. You know, I was really proud of that. But yeah, told Hayley my vision. Next thing I knew, she was connecting me with Richie Harkin from Hark Angels, and through Richie we met Adam Dostalek, the director producer of the music video, and we had, I think it was just over a month, and Adam and I were on the phone 5 hours almost every day, going back and forth, speaking the vision, scripting it out. He was outdoor knocking, scouting locations. He rounded up people to volunteer and donate parts to be used for this project. So the quality of music video, like the budget, I wouldn't even be able to tell you how much it would have costed if it was all out of pocket. But we were just super blessed with that process. Meeting Paris as well. She's our leading actress.
She's a little darling. She's
amazing.
She just embodied that character so well. And I just, yeah, like I said, you really need to watch it, because it is really chilling. And turn it up really loud.
So well. Get your tissues out. Yeah, she did amazing. And that was another, divine appointment. Adam sent me through all these, potential cast members. And at first I felt a bit overwhelmed. Like, I feel like I'm online shopping, and then like, I need to know a little bit more about these actresses. And Adam had a really good chat with Paris, and she understood the weight of it. And to me, it was really important that anyone that was a part of the project actually gave a damn, because when people are all in alignment, the energy that comes through the creative work, thus being the music video, the more powerful. So we had the most incredible team. Like, we did all the arranging literally the week of ALL. I flew down on the Tuesday. We recorded Wednesday, Thursday. The team got it edited, ready for Friday. They edited that video in less than 24 hours. So just the way it came together was amazing. I remember being the first scene we did was Paris running through the forest. And, it was already very real to me, because obviously I'd flown down there. We're getting ready. But
where did you film, Jess? Where did you film?
It was actually filmed down in Lithgow. It was freezing. It was so cold.
Lithgow,
New South Wales, Blue Mountains Way. Yeah, so out Lithgow. We actually got given for one of the scenes, we filmed at the same place they filmed SAS Australia, if you've ever seen that series. So we had some really beautiful locations that, if it was anything else, we wouldn't have been allowed to use. But yeah, coming back to the forest, the first scene, or the first take where Paris just ran through the woods and was crying, I was watching the camera, like from our angle, and I was so blown away of that realization of, oh my gosh, when I sat at that piano and wrote that song and envisioned this, everything is happening right now. Like, I was so humbled. And that to me was a big acknowledgement to myself of why it's important to do it the right way. And when you put it out there and you don't settle for working with people that seem like snakes in the grass, and you wait for the good people, it just happens so fast. So to me, that's such a big testimony. And obviously you've seen the music video now. And for me, music is a spearhead. And I don't think we take, as a generation, we don't take it as seriously as we should. The power of music, the power of art, the power of film, all of those things, because they break down walls, and they're either going to break them down in a good way or a negative way.
Yeah, I just find it so inspiring. I think the fact that you've honored your vision, and I totally get that, Jess. I had my vision when I was 12 at a checkout after a night of very awful things happening, and I knew that I had to do this, and this was what I was going to be doing. I didn't know how I was going to get there.
Yeah.
I just knew. And right now I'm kind of feel like I'm a little bit where you were at that moment, and all these people are suddenly coming around me to make this stuff happen, and it's very overwhelming and emotional, and
it is.
But it's beautiful because it's everything you've ever kind of dreamed of. I know that sounds so cliche, but
and it comes back to another revelation. Like when I went to America when I was younger and had that, I can do everything by myself, I'm independent. We really got to sit down, be humble. We can't do it by ourselves. We need people in our lives that believe in us. You need people in your life that believe in you. And that's how we build each other up. You know, it's not about, I'm going to work really hard as a single person to get to here, and then someone to my side is trying to do it themselves, but I know how to help them, but I'm going to go, oh, you need to go through the hard work yourself. We should be working hard, and then our ceiling becomes someone's floor. That's how we build skyscrapers. That's how we make monuments and actually make a difference. So we do need each other. And as soon as I kind of made that mind shift of, I need people to believe in me as much as people need me to believe in them, that's where things really started to click and move and open. In the doors started opening. So it was really humbling. It was very humbling.
So what's I mean, how many weeks has it been out now?
It's been out 3 weeks. We're at 23,000 views, which is exciting, and some really good engagement. Some of the comments there, guys, I've been seeing them. I'm just trying to figure out how to actually respond to them on YouTube because I'm not good at this stuff. That's why I have Haley. But yeah, no, really, really just so beautiful to see the response, and to know that the vision I had is important, and I did have something to give, and I pray that this song does go far and wide and is an example for other artists as well, that doing it the right way, it's worthwhile as much as the message is important as well. So for me, you would find this as well. You try and have a conversation about child exploitation, or that it happens in our backyard, and people just close up. They don't want to talk about it. So part of this journey is making it normal to have the conversation. That's what this is all about. And one point I think people go wrong on is, and I've been there, I learned the hard way, is when you do read into it and find the truth for yourself, you can feel guilty. You know, you go through a grieving process, and this, talking about this subject, guys, is not to make anyone feel guilty about having a good life or anything like that. This is, everyone should be pursuing the best that they can be. Live the best life you can. Everyone has a different sphere of influence. What I could give, what my sphere of influence was providing a song, you know, and starting that conversation. So I really believe that this song can help kind of pave a way to make people talk about the conversation, because music is a spearhead. It pierces the heart and opens up for conversation, you know, cracks through the tough exteriors of some people. Like you said, you're not someone who gets very emotional, but when you saw the music video, it hits different when you use music, or you use.
Well, I really was impacted hearing you live, actually, and I think it was a combination of all the content, because it was like child exploitation was really, it was very raw. That whole event was so raw. It was so amazing. Like I felt really empowered, and I know a lot of people come up and speak to me after I spoke as well, and it was just so powerful. And we've been chatting since then, waiting for
We have.
like, when's it coming out?
One day we said we'll be on a podcast together one day, and here we are.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. So yeah, like I guess for those listening, like, child exploitation is happening in Australia, and if you think it's not, you'd be very naive. And it looks a little bit differently to what you've probably seen in the movies, but that still does happen. Like, I mean, there's many people in my circle who've disclosed to me, and look, I've got, I've had countless disclosures all of the time. Many men and women who've disclosed that they have been trafficked right here in Queensland, right here in Australia. And as you mentioned, Jess, before, about pedophile rings, they still exist. And law enforcement works really hard to try to stop this insidious crime, but it takes all of us working together to raise awareness and to have conversations to stop this shit from happening, basically. Yeah. So it does happen. I don't want you to think that it doesn't. It is framed a little differently in Australia for some things. I like to think we're making a big difference having these conversations, and that's why this podcast exists. I do hope we are normalizing conversations through, this medium. But particularly just when I was working in schools as a police officer, I did notice a lot of times, it looks a little bit different sometimes, and it may not be that you just think it's just a teenager doing the wrong thing, but a lot of times there's teenagers that don't feel safe at home. So what they'll do is they'll trade sexual favors or, fall into, very unhealthy, toxic relationships with much, much older men. They may be underage, but if that older man is providing for them, it might be drugs, it might be alcohol, it might be food, shelter, clothing, all those types of things. It's very sad. It's very tragic, but it is the absolute reality of what is happening. Yeah. And that is, it's something that we need to know, police need to know about, so that they can do something about it, child safety and those types of organizations. But if there's child exploitation material, child sexual abuse material, and you know about it, you can see the details, the Australian Centre to Counter Child Exploitation or the E-Safety Commissioner are the places where you need to report that abuse happening. If it's happening at that time, you need to go straight to a police station. That's the advice, so we don't lose evidence, right? So yeah, but it is happening, and I don't know how to make it more clear. Yeah. That how important these conversations are, especially to have with our kids.
That's exactly right, and I think one thing, I think I said it to you once before, is I think we are definitely moving forward. The topic is becoming more common, but there is still a long way to go. I think I'm not a mum myself, like I said, can't wait to be a mum one day. But I think it's important that we somehow get on a track on, we've got prenatal classes, where you learn how to parent a baby. There's different things that we have to do when you're going to be a parent. I think there should be reform that every parent should have to learn about the signs of child exploitation. I know I was having a chat to a charity over in Cambodia today. 11% of all of the victims over in Cambodia is through online, is through the phones. And I think there are some apps out there. I've been trying to look into it, that they kind of filter certain languages, but if not using the right words, I don't know well enough. But basically the vision being there should be more tools for parents to understand how it happens, because we're in Western society, our biggest flaw is thinking it won't happen to those around us.
Exactly right.
And that is basically because of our ignorance, in the nicest way possible, is paving a way for it.
Yeah.
So having knowledge is always power. And
100%.
having the knowledge of these subjects gives us the power to keep an eye out. Coming back to cognitive thinking, when I'm at the grocery store with my partner, if I see a kid by themselves, I'm looking around until I can tell there's a parent there. Coming back to that tribal mentality where you look out for those signs, whether it's your kid, your friend's kids, or a stranger's, keeping an eye out and understanding. Prevention is key. As much as we need the rehabilitation and the rescue teams, and we've got lots of ideas when it comes to that end of the spectrum, but I got to focus on my lane at the moment, and my music is my pathway to hopefully eventually have the funds one day to put some of my my goals and dreams in effect when it comes to actually helping these kids as well. But for now, we need to keep this conversation going, building up our knowledge. But one thing I came to in the last few years is we've become a fast food generation. We like to get our truths given to us for free without finding it ourselves. So just because I might state a fact, or just because yourself, Kelly, might say this is the statistics, we shouldn't be sitting at home and going, oh, well, Jess and Kel said it this, so it must be true. This is about encouraging people to come back to cognitive thinking, questioning, and finding them truth for themselves. Because when you find it for yourself, it hits differently.
Yeah.
You find that the revelation, the conviction, if that makes sense, in yourself, and it becomes easier to talk about it.
Well, you retain the knowledge, but I just want you to know that I'm always right, Jess, and that's that.
Oh, sorry, my bad. We can edit that out, right?
Yeah. I'm never wrong. No, look, we're doing, I think, there's a lot of work happening at the moment, and just you mentioned before about where to go for parents. The Think You Know website, it's think with the letter U and then know, KNOW. It's a website affiliated with the Australian Federal Police and the ACE, the Australian Centre to Counter Child Exploitation. You can find a fact sheet and how to prevent and filter every app that children have access to, and it shows you what you need to do and how you can put the right filters on and that sort of stuff there. So if you're a parent, that's the best place that I know to go. The Carly Ryan Foundation also has resources, but they are in partnership with Think You Know. So there's heaps of stuff out there, guys. So there's to be honest, there's just no excuses for not knowing. It's about prioritizing, making sure that you are teaching your kids and those around you who look to you for advice. They may not be kids, you might be an auntie or whoever you are, but whatever you can do to speak into their life and to help prevent this happening is the best.
So important. And don't think you're someone that can't do anything. Everyone has that sphere of influence like we spoke about before. You might only know 5 people, but you talk to those 5 people, and that typical salesperson thing, that person will tell those people, and so on. But it is important. For me, I had a song to give, and here we are. So it's been an amazing journey. My gosh.
Yeah, and guys, if you've got questions for Jess, don't forget to pop them into the chat, and we'll answer the questions at the end of the podcast. Okay, so make sure you're dropping them into the feed, and we'll get to them a bit later on. Jess, I really wanted to ask you about that last. So just coming back to your music video again, because it's in my head. There's this scene where Paris is like running, and there's all these people, and like I know I've seen this in real life. It just doesn't have like writing on the tape, but I see the ignorance, and I see people who aren't able to respond and don't know how to respond or feel helpless, and I want to know what's going on there. Like, what are you thinking? And it's so powerful, that part. Like, I really.
So it's kind of like a double-edged sword or a triple or whatever you want to call it. But when I wrote those lyrics, I know the ones you're talking about, and I'll sing them for you in a minute.
Oh, yes. Can I sing too? No, I'll destroy it.
Basically, a lot of these victims, even though sometimes we see out in the world, speak now, they still can feel like they're not being heard, because the example of the world is that they don't matter, and they do. Broken people matter too. And that's why coming into rehabilitation or after the fact, providing love and opportunity for these people to become whole again, and I know how that feels on many accounts. I'm not a victim myself, thankfully, but I have seen people very close to me who've been affected by abuse, and the long-term effects, you would know this as well, Kel, the long-term effects of trauma, it affects entire lives. If it happens as a little kid and then they're wondering why they have anger, they're wondering why they keep hitting this brick wall, or why they feel like they don't fit in this world. And that's how they feel. They feel like the world has taught them not to try, and
there's no hope.
And there's no hope.
Yeah.
And that's why we put humans on pedestals, which we should not be on. We are not created to be glorified. We're created to project to what's important, which is love. We should all be reflecting back to what's important, and that's love, being an example of love, and that old school mindset of treating others how you want to be treated. And that's why, as an artist, and kind of going back on why I chose this journey for music, is being an example. Otherwise, you literally just become one of those preachers that are really good at talking, but they don't live it. We've seen enough of that.
I think they're called a wolf in sheep's clothing.
They are. But it's very prominent. I think, I know I'm not the only artist. I know there's other artists out there like Ziggy Alberts and those who have put in the hard yards to be independent, so they can be real and raw. And our generation is craving rawness. Why do you think people are so obsessed with scrolling and watching people on Fail Army or something like that? Because it makes them feel like, that happens to me too. I'm human. We are all human. We all have our flaws. We all have our perks. We just stop need of putting a fake standard for our young kids. Look at what our role models are for young children these days. And don't get me wrong, I love a good party song, but come on, there's got to be more substance than this. Music molds generations. It does. It has. You look back through all the big bands, even rock bands. My partner and I love our rock bands. And you actually listen to the lyrics, they're saying something. Nowadays, we just mumble rap and shit. Like, what are these lyrics out there? And I think as artists, we forget how important it is. As an artist or an influencer, you actually have a responsibility. And I personally take that really, really seriously. We get singers out there rapping about how they want to kill themselves, and then we wonder why we have a generation who want to kill themselves, because it's been made cool by mainstream media, or to have low self-esteem, or sell your body. No wonder we have a generation that's so confused. And that's why I bring it back to being raw and having flaws and simplicity, being human. We all mess up, and that's the one thing I never want to create a fake standard. I'm going through stuff myself, that it's not perfect. It never is, but we got to take pride in the process, and I'd rather it be a rough journey and a beautiful one that I can be proud of without regrets than the alternative. So yeah, these lyrics, I'll try not to cry. I know you love this one. Basically, I'll sing them for you. So the lyric is...
Okay, ready, everybody. We can hear it. So just get the ears on, tune in.
You're going to go find it.
She's been well warmed up now. She's done a big
from all my talking.
Boom, 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 right? Okay, go for it. I'm ready.
All right. So, I have to lie. The world has taught us not to try and break away from all the pain. We've been trained to be afraid and fight after fight. We've been running for our lives. We've caught on to all the games, and we will never play again. Then does a big build up to the chorus,
What's the
which you will all hear.
Chorus?
You want the chorus?
Yes.
Because we're rolling back the curtains.
Yes.
And that's our new thing on that note. So Haley and I and those who have been involved, we've had a lot of charities want to, have the song for themselves. And I understand why. It's a beautiful song. But I wrote this song for the world. This is to be shared. This is for charities who have the same heart to use as much as you want. This is not, one charity does it better than the others. And I think it is the time that charities start working together. There's so many amazing charities, some that, work in one side of things and another that works in the others, encouraging them to all connect and, conquer this issue together. There's more power in numbers, and especially if we're in unity in it, then
we have to be, Jess. There's no other way to stop this.
We have to be transparent. I'm sick of I won't say names of them, but I worked for charities when I was younger, did the whole door knocking thing, and I was so sad to learn of some charities how little actually makes it. So I'm all about getting behind charities that are transparent and honest about what they do. The charity I spoke to earlier today, OzCam, Freedom Project, beautiful heart, so there's a long way to go, but with all of us getting behind this, it is possible. We might not completely erase it forever, but I think prevention, putting these things in place can make a pretty darn good dent. So one thing we're gonna do, I know Haley and I did this leading up to the launch, is basically making a trend. I want the phrase rolling back the curtains. If you ever see that anywhere, whether we have it on some merch, which we're going to get out, people know that is someone that stands against child exploitation. So what are we doing? We're rolling back the curtains on this, because it is important, and it's time that we really, really push this. And you know what? The song should have come out, well, we said it should have come out a year ago, but now that it's out, and I realized it's actually the perfect timing. There is more conversation about it. Even mainstream media is showing some reports of trafficking rings here in Australia being exposed. So I feel the wheels are starting to turn, and we have momentum to keep this going, guys. So rolling back the curtains.
Putting on the spotlight.
Putting on the spotlight, the things unseen.
Yep.
Rolling back the curtains. The show ain't over, it's our time to see. I'm rolling back the curtains. Oh, yeah.
Love it.
It's so important.
I just wanted you to say that bit about, like putting the spotlight on things unseen, because I just think that's like so powerful, because that's my mission. That's why I do what I do. That's why, we're in a lot. That's why you're here on this, so I wanted you to come on this podcast, because I'm like, we need to because I got a tattoo, Jess. I got a big tattoo, like all up my arm, and I thought, this is not me. I was never going to get a tattoo in my entire life, right? But what I
said the same.
Yeah. Oh my God. But when I posted about it, there was these people who'd been in my circle, I guess, for a long, long time, but I'd never heard a peep out of. And I was like, oh, this just brings about a different message in a different way. And everybody hears messages differently, and people are drawn to, music or arts, or, my surfing or sport or whatever it is. And so as long as we're sharing these messages through different platforms, we're going to reach different people. And I think it's important that we do that. And that's ideas and innovation and challenging the status quo has to come from all different angles,
It does. And all people from all walks of life. So you're spot on. But it's so exciting. I've got I don't know if I plug myself.
Go for it.
Jessica Jasmine.com.au. We've got a website there. I'm writing music for the people, guys. I am as independent as they come. Thankfully, for the project of Rolling Back the Curtains, I've had some amazing support with that one to bring that to life. I've got a lot of songs ready in the gallery that I want to get out in the world as well. There's songs about waking up. There's songs about healing. after, you know, being a victim. And I've got so much music I want to put out there. Unfortunately, it does, as all things do, it costs money. So there is a spot on there if you want to contribute to upcoming projects, you can. I'll with all my projects moving forward with Rolling Back the Curtains, we will be putting a percentage of any royalties, any profits towards charities. And we're going to change my website. So every charity we're meeting that has the right heart, we're going to publicize all of them. We want to bring light to all the people out there doing some incredible work. And that's how we do it. We help support each other. We help the independents, and basically work together, you know. Music can help pave the way in all of this, and everybody sharing. Yeah.
Love it. I love it. So I'm going to have to rustle up on my buddies at like Project Paradigm, with the ACE, we've got AFP guys, we've got like the Morecambe Foundation. Everybody needs to jump on and, you know, be part of this. And the child exploitation part of it is huge. We got, I think Jen was listening before from Not My Kid. There's Safe for Kids. There's so many different organizations that we're all aligned with that, you know, we have a real heart and are doing such amazing work. Like, I always say the work is a few, but the harvest is many. And I know it's a very biblical quote, but, you know, there is just so much happening out there at the moment, and there's just not enough people to combat these issues. So that means everyday people rising up, standing in the gap, not being a bystander, but being someone who's active participant in actually stopping this from happening. Yeah. And you can call it out in your workplaces. It's raising awareness, jumping onto charity days, you know, whatever you can do.
Make the conversation normal, guys. We shouldn't be tiptoeing around it, you know. Make it normal.
Eggshells. And it's true, because, you know, I think I often find, you know, if I share my story, they're like, oh, don't want to get you upset, or, you know, I don't want to make you upset. And people are just so, I mean, they're trying to be very kind, but I think more that you tiptoe around things, that's actually the harder that it gets, you know. Normal, if I'm not okay, most people have enough autonomy to say, hey, actually, I'm not okay, and I don't really want to talk about that. Sorry.
Yeah. Just give me a hug and leave me be.
Yeah. Be like, just give me a KFC, I'm fine. But yeah, like, Jess, congratulations.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, just to getting it out there finally, getting it out into the world, all your collaboration and connecting with people. So yeah, if you're a charity or an organization who aligns and is listening to this, get a hold of Jess, and she's got a song there that you can use to help your mission, to break open these cycles.
Reach out. I know Kel's going to put my email. Like, we want to have these conversations. I want to connect, so that we can, like I said, this is about partnership. You know, if you want to use the song, we'll promote you on ALL as well. We're going to plan future big events to raise funds, like we did last year for the charities that are putting in the work. So there's so many sides to making these things come to light. So we all have a way of playing a role in it, one way or another.
That's beautiful. Thanks, Jess. Yeah, guys. So I just want to, I know Paris, I don't know if she's listening tonight, but she was so great. She was so great. But yeah, I'm so glad that you got to sing. I wanted to sing too, but Jess, I'm really terrible. And
what are we doing, Cal?
We're rolling back the curtains. Oh, look, I wasn't warmed up, right? Hang on.
That's it. So everybody, feel free to post a video on TikTok, Insta, whatever the thing is. What are we doing? We're rolling back the curtains. Hashtag.
Yeah, well, you know, we could do that too. We could start that. Start a movement. I want to know how to do that. We might as well practice on you.
That's it. Let's ride this thing till kingdom come. And make some difference on the way. And like we said, for me, double-edged sword, bring light on really important subjects, but also pave a way and set an example for other independent artists. I know long-term I've got some really big goals for helping victims, but also would love to get an opportunity of helping upcoming artists and really, doing workshops that question what's your identity as a person, what is your legacy when you leave this earth. What are you known as? Are you known as that person twerking on a TV? Or if that's what you want, awesome, be honest to yourself. But you know what I mean, like find really questioning, because a lot of these young kids that go over there, they don't actually know what they want or who they are yet. That's why they love the industry, loves them so much, because they're easy to mold. So this is all about helping them find who they are for themselves.
And I love that, because I find I love the quote, without a vision the people perish, right? Because my whole thing since I was always like to have a vision, to have a goal. And I like, no matter what trauma or shit was going down in my life, and there was a fair bit of it, I would just hold on to the next goal and I would just chase it. And I think that's why, because I was thinking about this and I was like, oh my God, so much has happened and I can't actually keep track of what's going on right now. It's very overwhelming.
Yeah.
Exciting, but overwhelming to the point of like almost me wanting to shut down sometimes, because I'm thinking, oh my God, I can't contain this, but it's all perfectly aligned and it's all beautiful and it's exactly how it's meant to be.
Exactly.
But I get hyper fixated and I just stick to this like one track mind sometimes, much to my detriment. But
and that's why we need more people around us. It helps accountability when we're another thing, when it comes back to friendships, when you're vulnerable and real about your goods and your bads, you actually learn your friends, and they learn you on a deeper level. So when you're not being true to yourself, they actually know you.
It can give you a butt kicking.
Right, and put you in place. We need that. My partner's really good at that. If I'm getting flustered or I had too many things on and spreading myself too thin, come on, what are you doing? Stay focused, and we need that. We need each other.
We do. We absolutely
good people.
But yeah, it's just it's so beautiful when you can find your passion and your purpose. And you're right, young people, I think it's a very different generation, and it's really important, I think, to know. I mean, they'd say 7 times you change your career in a lifetime, and that's fair enough. But I think that there's nothing better than knowing who you are, what you stand for, and falling in love with your passion, because it's there's just nothing else. Like, to me, there's no plan B from here, right? This is what I know I was born to do, and if something else comes along, I'm like, oh, that's amazing, I can do that too. But this is pain into purpose, and this is my significance. And I feel very inspired, and I know that a lot of young artists will be, or anyone who listens who is a music person or creative or artistic, it's really important to follow those passions. And if you're a survivor, I'm going to say this, and Brené Brown probably said it a lot better, but when we are feeling shame and we're feeling grief and we're feeling anger, it clouds our creativity and it stops us from being able to fully express ourselves. So do your healing work, right? It's really important, because when you do that, you're able to express yourself and be able to write songs and poetry and music and all the things that are inside of you to be let out and to become like, your message, or your, it doesn't even have to go anywhere, right? But just the ability to actually put down what you're feeling and be able to express yourself without shame, without fear, is so important. And you should feel safe to do that too. So it's not just being able to do that, it's being safe to do that, because you can't have creativity when you're feeling unsafe.
Yeah.
So do the work. And on that note, I'm going to just do a plug very quickly. So guys, you may have been following on my feed, and I have just finished writing Reclaim Your Freedom, 8 cycle breaking strategies for survivors of child sexual abuse. You need to watch out for it, because it's going to be free. Like, I'm going to give it away, right? So it's really powerful. Stay tuned for that. And if you like what you've been hearing on these podcasts, I need your help too. It helps me keep the live shows running. So you can go to my Patreon account at www.patreon.com/Kelly Humphries. And there is a membership group where I post extra content, and I would love you to be part of it. because it does help me keep this stuff going. So stay tuned, subscribe to my website, guys, because I'm going to be releasing courses soon and I don't want you to miss out. So there's lots of cool stuff happening. I've been really, really busy. I've got really exciting things to announce. It's very good. Like I said, things are happening, Jess, because I've finally stopped doing my day job for a little while and given wings to things because I knew I had to. I had to listen to my body for a start.
Yeah.
But, I've never stopped believing in this vision ever. I've not once put it aside and said, I can't do this. I've had moments where I've struggled and I wanted to quit, but I will never quit and I will never stop doing this. I have to believe that this pain is for something. This struggle and the wrestle has to create something powerful. And I believe, I think it already has. And I love, from speaking with you, just your integrity and your passion and your heart is just so beautiful, Jess.
Oh, we just connected that first day we met. We just knew we were on the same wavelength, and the more we've chatted, it's like, we're just finding our people. And sounds cheesy, but your vibe attracts your tribe. What you really believe in it, if you walk in it, you will attract those like-minded people, and build up the knowing on when you need to step away from some as well, and that's totally okay too. You're
just going to be haunted because I've got like about 500 poems sitting in a box somewhere that I've been like writing for years, and I'll be like, Jess, here's a couple of songs for you to sing.
Yes, collaboration.
Here we go. So watch out for me not singing. I might start spitting some poetry or something, but it's very awesome, Jess. I'm so glad that you're able to come on tonight. Just quickly, what's next for you?
What's next for me? Honestly, my next goal is the music that I've got. So I have a pretty clear vision for the album I want to release. I know every song that would, it all works together with Rolling Back the Curtains. So that will be my next step, and getting my funds sorted with that. We're just waiting to start launching our merchandise for Rolling Back the Curtains as well, to hopefully bring in some from there. Look, I may have said these stats. I know I did on the live of the launch. Streaming platforms do not make money for artists anymore. It's only merchandise, live shows. So my goal is finding a way to get this album sorted. I have an amazing contact with Brad Hoskins. He won Producer of the Year. I think it was last year, the year before. He was also Amy Shark's producer leading up to before she went big time. And I was fortunate enough to meet him during uni, so I'm in discussion with him about a price, etc. So I'm starting to look into it to already in my mind kind of project what I need to get there. So praying and believing that can come in, so we can get together this album and then start looking at doing some proper live shows with this music. So each of these songs, like, I have a vision for every single one of them. Like, when I write my music, I'm already seeing a music video on how it can be impacting or what this could stand for. I have a song called Run and Hide, which it's one of my favorite ones.
Are we allowed to hear any little?
I'll give you a little snippet. So the pre-chorus, which I really love, it goes, and I won't fall, and I'll stand tall, and I won't break, and I can take it. And then the chorus goes, I gotta know right now, where do you think you'll run? Where do you think you'll go? Keeps going. But that song for me is a call to people to, come into your identity. Stop running away from your shit. It might hurt for a little bit, but it is worth it. So that's along with many others.
I just love it. You just got the best voice, Jess. I love it. It's so cool.
Thanks, Kel.
One thing. Just don't forget us back here. Like, when you become really famous, I want all the merch and
All the VIP tickets.
I want all the stuff. I want all the
Oh.
tickets and
Yeah. Well, I'm not playing. If I have a really, really clear vision on, if my music does do well, is always having a home. I think it's really, really always, it's important to have your house in order. It's important to have your friendships and your family surrounding you. So everything has got to be out of the overflow of this. So I can see myself doing, seasons of music and then coming back home for, family time and doing more writing. But yeah, everything's got to have a purpose, not just because. So yeah, big vision, long way to go. But I'm just already looking at what's already happened. I'm like, wow, if I've already had the blessings of this so far, I'm just already excited for what's going to come. And I can hear it, I can see it, I've seen it. It's just about manifesting it now.
Oh, that's awesome, Jess. Well, thank you so much for being here, guys. Again, Jessica Jasmine.com or
do we have any questions? We didn't have questions, did we?
No, that's all right. I'll deal with them. That's all good. We're time's up tonight, guys. But thank you for tuning in. If you are in our live audience, you can join my Patreon community and support this podcast. I would love you to do that. And stay tuned for next episode. And I will see you guys then. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Jess.
Thanks so much.
Bye.